this video demonstration, I'm going to show you how to use the brand new Daisy Trail 3D embossing folder and matching stencils from John Next Door. And again, in here you're going to get a beautiful 3D embossing folder. So this gives you an absolutely wonderful 3D emboss, so you get all of the movement in there. But also you've got two matching stencils on here. So you've got a stencil which will actually allow you to colour the flowers, but you've also got a stencil that will colour the centre of the flowers and the leaves. And these can be used together with the stencil or with the embossing folder to give you a beautiful finished result, just like this, where you've got those two different colours showing so beautifully. Or you can use it separately on its own to create a beautiful, just stenciled image. So I'm going to show you how we're going to use that. So to start with, we're going to take our 3D embossing folder, and you can score a piece of card, or emboss a piece of card, should I say, up to 6 inches in this, as it's a 6-inch folder. I tend to cut mine to 5 3/4, because 5 3/4 is exactly the right sort of size to get 2 pieces from an A4 piece of card. So we're just going to pop that in, and again, we'll bring in my Kaleido, use our standard sandwich that we would emboss in any machine, a 3D embossing folder. So with most of the machines, it's the thick base plate and the thicker plate. If you want a crisper emboss, you can add a metal shim if you need to. And that will give you a beautiful 3D embossed piece. And again, this can be used on its own. It can be coloured in lots of different ways with your Mica Magic and your inks and your pastes. But adding the stencils just adds a little bit of difference to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to place this down just onto my work surface, as I find this easiest, certainly for the videos. And I'm going to start with the flower first. And I would always recommend starting with your flower, because that will be the lighter colour, because you want the centre of the flower, which is on the other stencil, to go on top. So all I'm doing is clicking my stencil onto the embossed area. You don't even really need to see through. And then simply tape that down. You can magnet it, use it in your press to impress if you want to. I find it a lot easier because it fits exactly to do it this way. And I'm using the Pearl Fusion, as this gives a beautiful finish on 3D embossing. So I'm using here the Sunlight, beautiful warm yellow, and you see that hopefully it comes through really shiny. And again, this isn't a new ink pad, that's what I think is so fab. The pearl is all the way through there. And again, being water reactive means I can flick water at it, and I could multi-layer it up. So we will do that in another demonstration. So you can see that just going over really simply with my foam dauber, and I get all of those flowers beautifully coloured. And I could leave it at that if I want to. However, I want to add in the detail of the leaves. So I'm simply going to bring then the stencil for the leaves. And again, you kind of click it on. You can see exactly where it should be because it fits onto that 3D embossed surface. So once you're happy that it's done that way, and I would always do it this way, rather than relying on pushing it into a corner on your press to impress or looking at notches or anything, because you don't want to go off, and the folder itself will help you to get it in the right place. And so for the centre of the flowers and the leaves, I'm using Verdant, again, a Pearl Fusion colour, beautiful fresh green, and again, going straight over. I'm making sure I colour all of those leaves, excuse me, colouring all of those leaves, really, really very simple. Nice and easy, straight over the top, no problems at all. What I can also do is, if I want to make sure I've really highlighted the centre of the flowers, I can use one of the detail blending tools. These are fantastic for picking up smaller areas because they've got exactly the same. I'll just open the pack here. So you can see you get a wooden, really ergonomic, easy to use tool with the same foam on both sides. So this time I can really go through and just spot. So should I want a different colour centre, perhaps I'm doing this and I want to make the flowers red and make them a little bit poppy-like, I could go through with the smaller tool and just get it exactly right in the black to match, but still have green leaves. So they were designed so that you don't have to just use one single colour, But if we're going on like this, you'll see that I'll have every single centre of the flower a completely different colour. So you see there, we've gone from just the yellow flower to the beautiful yellow flower with that green centre. And all I'm going to do to put this up into a card is I've got a frame here that I've made using the John Next Door bubble frame, and the yellow frame here is from the Christmas collection. And I've just simply added a little bit of foam tape onto it. Again, you could frame this in any way you want to, but I really think this works. And again, normally I would say take your backing to your frame, but for this one we want it in the right place. So I want to take the frame on to make sure I've got exactly how I want the flowers to be. I want the flower in the centre, and I want to see that beautiful trail. And if it's any overhanging, I just take my scissors, tilt them at an angle, and undercut off any extra. And there we have our beautiful trailing daisies and leaves. I'll simply add that to a large card. Here I've got a 7x7, which has just been matted with a little bit of Apple Craft 2 Essential card. So all the colours of card I'm using are coconut white, spring yellow and apple green, all from the Essential card from the Craft Artist range. And there we have an absolutely beautiful framed window card with those 3D daisies popping through. And you could hear I've used the foliage and the flowers from the Michaelmas daisy. I think it is the Michaelmas or the daisy circle. But again, any of your flowers will work. But a really simple, easy, effective card that can be done in hundreds of different colours and styles. For more hints, tips, ideas and inspiration, why not visit the Crafting with John Next Door and Crafts 2 group on Facebook. Enjoy.